Hello again, everyone. Today I am here with an unboxing from Little Pen Designs, which is an independent maker of hand-turned fountain pens. And I've purchased a few pens from Little Pen Designs. You can purchase these pens. I believe the person has an actual standalone website, but I usually purchase off of Etsy. I don't know why I do that. It's just, what I'm used to. But there is a shop and an Etsy shop. And this last note was just super nice. It has these little stamps with the fountain pen on them. Thank you so much for your generous support of my small business. I hope you enjoy this pen. It is the second time I have used this Fire Opal, so that's what color it is. And I just love the sparkle. Regards, Joe. So super nice. I really, one of the nicest things about ordering from these smaller makers is that they are super, super nice and super customer focused. And it's just really nice to support people like that. So want to support the nice people, right? All right, so here we go. And then this is the little card which says what model it is. This is an Acadia. The finish is a polished finish as opposed to something more matte. The material is Fire Opal by Brooks Blanks and pen type custom fountain pen. And the nib that I ordered with it is a Yowo number 6 fine. I could have gotten a Bach as well, but in this case I decided to get a Yowo. And here it is. I mean, look at those sparkles. It's so pretty. I have been wanting a pen with this particular material for a while. A couple of different makers had them and they sold out before I could get them. And this one I'm actually really glad that I was able to get from Little Pen Designs because I really love this Acadia model. It's this is, I think, slightly more tapered than some of the other ones. There's always going to be individuality with these pens as well, and I think that they're often open to tweaks that you might suggest, which is also kind of nice. So you can say, hey, I would like a pen made out of this if you have it, or if you have your own blanks, you can provide, and I'd like it to be a little bit more narrow or a little fatter or something like that. So it really is a custom pen. And like I said, the other, I do have a couple of other Acadia models. One has rounded ends, and one is a little bit more squared or not as tapered as this, but it's really, really nice. I really like the feel of this particular pen in my hand. It's very nice. It does not post. Does not post, just checking. And it just feels really nice and it's very comfortable to write with. And check out those sparkles. They are pretty awesome. Yeah, I really love this material. And I actually do have a nib set aside already for this. I'm always swapping my nibs, but I do use them. I've gotten some questions of what do I do with all the nibs that I swap off of pens. Sometimes I will use them for nib grinding practice. At this point, I'm just using sandpaper and trying some grinds out that way. Also, I put them on cheaper pens like Jinhao's or Moonman pens because generally the nibs that are on those are not that great. And the Yowo or other nibs that come standard on a lot of these pens are much better quality. So I swap those out. And then eventually I end up with sort of like junk nibs that I probably won't use on other pens just because they're lower quality, or I might use them again to test out nib grinding because I am kind of dabbling in that a little bit. But this is definitely a nib that I will put on something else. So this is the new finish that Yowo has adopted. This is just a gold coating. This is still a steel nib, but they've switched to this really very plain design as opposed to any scroll work on here, which I actually quite like the plain nib. I think it's very classy. I like the scroll work too, but this one I think is more my speed. So I'll definitely be putting this on something else, or maybe I will grind it. I got a fine because I have been trying my hand at fine architect grinds. I've discovered that that is my favorite grind, and I already made one that was a success, and I kind of do want to try out again and see whether I can hone that. So the nib that I want to put on here is a broad Esterbrook nib. And this came off of a new Esterbrook, which I have not shown on the channel yet. But in that Esterbrook, I put a vintage nib in it with the vintage converter because it's an Esty. I've talked about that on the channel before. You can search my channel for that. And also I do plan to do sort of a profiling of different Esterbrook pens with various vintage nibs on them. It's a great adapter. I love the vintage nibs from Esterbrook, so that allows me to use them. But I have this extra Esterbrook broad, and I do like the Esterbrook nibs, which I think are essentially Jowo nibs branded for Esterbrook. But you can see here, this one has the scroll work on it, so that's the old style. And then the new style is just going to be plain. And obviously Esterbrook, they have that branded on here, but there you go. So what I'm going to do is just do a wholesale swap. I'm going to take out the nib and converter from here and put this nib and converter. This is also an Esterbrook converter as well. I could leave the existing converter in here. That's just, you know, to keep the Esterbrook converter with the Esterbrook nib. That's just a persnickety thing. It does not have to happen. So take the converter off, and then these are very easy to change. You just screw out the nib and screw in the new nib. I will disconnect the converter there. The Esterbrook's always come with a little very thin O-ring here. I'm going to leave that on and see. I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but we will see. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. I just do it finger tight, but not too tight. And then put the new converter, Esterbrook converter, in there. Usually I twist it just a little bit to make sure that it is secure. I have an ink selected for this pen, which should be a perfect match. And where did I put it? There it is. I am going to try this with Pelikan Edelstein Mandarin ink. And here is that ink on a Kola Ring ink swatch. And you can see, I think that's going to look really darn nice. I will be doing a writing sample on some Tomoe River paper so you can see that as well. But I think it's a very good match for this ink. So let's see, I'm going to put this one off to the side. You don't have to do this, but just for me now to keep these together, I just, you know, gently put that on the end. You have to be careful because you don't want to snap off the bottom of that nib, because that's where the converter seats. So I'm going to put that off to the side, save that for another pen or another day. I'll move this. And then I am going to fill this. Let me get my somewhat messy shop towel that I have here that I've been using for that. You can just fill the converter, but today, again, I'm just going to fill the nib through the nib. So let's go ahead and dip that in there. Get the converter going, twisting it. I'm going to do that twice so that I can make sure I get a full fill. Yep, there we go, very full. So, oh, you can't see the whole converter. There you go. I am going to close this ink bottle and wipe off the nib here. I usually just wipe off the section here and just wipe off the nib a little bit to make sure that I don't get any nib inside or any ink inside the cap or get ink on my fingers when I'm writing with the pen. All right, so there it is, filled with ink. It already looks great. I am super stoked about this pen. So let's see how this Esterbrook nib writes. This is just half of a piece of Tomoe River paper. I think I'm probably zoomed in enough for now. Let me go ahead and see if that is already started. No, sometimes they don't start right away, although that's a little odd when filling from the nib. Let me see. Push a little ink down in there. Okay, oops, and then there's a drop on the page. I will just dab that up. Okay, there we go. There we go. Oh, and this is actually a very nice broad nib. One thing that can happen with broad nibs is they are, oh, and this, I wonder, so this has a kind of a narrow downstroke and a wider side stroke. What I'm going to do, so this is called nib tricking. So I am going to grab, this is going to get my fingers a little inky probably, but I'm going to grab the nib here at the little wings, and I'm going to just gently press open. And sometimes that will get the ink flow a little bit more consistent. We'll see. I'll probably mess with it a little bit more off camera too, because I don't want to spend a lot of time doing that. But I find that broad nibs tend to be a little finicky, and you can get baby's bottom, like I was saying. This one doesn't seem to have baby's bottom, but it does seem like the flow is a little skimpy on the downstroke, so I might try and tune this to my liking. But baby's bottom is essentially, if you looked at the nib head on, you would see a little curve. So essentially this part of the nib looks like a little bit like a baby's bottom, and that can cause hard starts, but I don't think we're getting that here. So this pen is by Little Pen Designs. Oops, Designs. And it is made with Fire Opal by Brooks Blanks. And what was the model on this again? This is the Acadia. And then this has with an Esterbrook broad nib. I mean, the flow is generally pretty good, but I'm still getting, let's see if I raise the nib. Yeah, it seems to happen at all angles. So I'll see what I can do with that. Although the writing with it seems to be pretty good, so we'll see. It's very smooth. It's not as broad as some broads I've written with, but it shows off this ink very nicely. Let's do the Quick Brown Fox really quickly. Looks like I have some dust on my paper here. The Quick Brown Fox. Jumps over the lazy dog. No, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'll write with it a little bit and see how I feel about it and see whether I need to adjust it. But for now, it's really nice. I like the gold nib with the super sparkly pen. You can even see that. Well, I have some natural light today, but I love sparkles. I was purchasing a pen. Where was I purchasing it from? I think I was purchasing it from the Nib Grinder, because he does have a stock of pens. And I was trying to see if I could get a particular pen that was made by Woodshed Pen Company, I think. And I inquired about it, and they were like, well, someone else is looking or thinking about getting that one, but I don't think they're going to get it because they said they didn't like sparkles. And I was like, I am all about the sparkles these days. So, and as it turned out, that person didn't get that sparkle pen, and I did. So I think that the sparkles I need to pick me up lately, guys. I'll take it wherever I can get it. All right, well, that's all I had for you today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and I hope to see you next time. But in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.